Every business loves referrals. It's actually the absolute best way to market any business, from billion-dollar brands to lemonade stands and everywhere in between. So even Neil Patel, if you've heard of NP Digital, it's a massive global marketing, names like Patrick Bet-David, who has infotainment and global brands. They know that word of mouth is the most powerful form of advertising that you can get. So why? Why does word of mouth work so well? Who can, go ahead, Brian. I read it on Google. It must be true. Come on. So can't believe the internet. Fantastic. Why else? Relatable. Did both of you say the same thing at the same time?
More reliable.
Reliable and relatable. There you go. Fantastic. Go ahead, Mike.
Credibility.
Credibility. All of these things. Word of mouth advertising lowers the barrier to entry and increases social proof. It actually plays into our human psyche. Anyone here use Amazon? What's the first thing, or the last thing that you, before you click add to cart? You scroll down to the reviews. Why? Because you want to know that this product works and it's helped somebody else before you actually invest your money. So referrals are actually the best way to do that. And why isn't mine? Come on. All right. Anyway, so in addition to reducing that barrier to entry, it actually makes you increase the likelihood of sales and reduce the time spent to get the transaction. In short, you make more money in less time. Does that sound vaguely appealing to anybody? I like those ideas. So before we get into how to generate them, which is why you're all here, let's talk a little bit about what the difference between leads and referrals are. Who can tell me what a lead is? So somebody who's shown interest or somebody that you've got contact. What were you going to say, Alex?
I was going to say pretty much what he said, just like a general direction of someone to call.
Yeah. Anyone else have a definition? A lead is anybody who can purchase your product. But it's a two-way connection. It is the seller and the buyer. So you've identified somebody who can buy your product or service. You still have to pursue them, convince them, sell to them, the whole part. Now, what's a referral?
It's that third-party connection that connects the buyer and seller.
That's the key. Somebody else actually says, I know somebody who can help you. Let me introduce you. So that's a third-party introduction, and it eliminates the need to pursue, convince, sell. All you have to do, all that's left to do, is just help them with a problem you already know you can solve for them. And this is driving me bonkers. All right, well, so if I miss my transitions, I apologize in advance. So the difference between leads and referrals. Now, referrals are so much more impactful. You're going to decrease the sales time. You're going to increase the likelihood of closing business. So referrals must cost a ton more, right? Well, let's take a look. How much do leads cost? So how much do leads cost? Depending upon the industry, they can range anywhere from actual cost of hundreds of dollars up to thousands of dollars. Now, many of you might be thinking, well, I use pay-per-click and I only spend $8 per click, or I only spend $7 per click. Typically speaking, it takes 12 to 14 interactions on those pay-per-click marketing before it actually even leads to the introduction of a sale. So in dollars and cents, how much do referrals cost? They're absolutely free. Now, I see some of you looking at me like, aren't you going to ask me for money later? And I appreciate your skepticism, but we'll talk more about that in about 35 minutes. So, but since you mentioned money, and I claimed that referrals are actually the best way to grow any business, let's talk about some dollars and cents. So we just mentioned that referrals are completely free. How effective are they? Well, I know you can't see this, but let's take a look. They're actually twice as effective as the next leading opportunity. 91% effective across all industries. Next only to 37% of offline advertising as a cumulative. So that doesn't take into the cost effective or the cost range of it either. That's just the effectiveness. So in case you're wondering where you're spending your money compared to other people, I'll give you a little bit better view of that chart. But 91% effectiveness on referrals. Here's the big question. As industries, as business owners, where do we actually invest our money to generate referrals? Well, on everything except referral marketing and word of mouth. Almost nobody outside of BNI members even know how to generate referrals, much less focus on actually getting them. So you'll see that it's not even on the list. The number one priority for almost every business is lead generation, and almost nobody is investing in the most effective way to generate them. Again, in case you're wondering, I'll give you some easier numbers to read there. But where are we spending our money? Everywhere else except. So, is anybody ready to actually learn how to generate some more referrals for their business? Okay. So I'm going to share just a few today, but there are literally dozens, maybe even hundreds. And BNI members across the world already know these ways to do that, and we do it every day. That we build strong businesses by using the most effective, but least used marketing method, word of mouth referral generation. Now, referrals are everywhere. They're not just in business situations. They're not just in networking groups. They're not just in chamber events, but that's kind of what I'm going to focus on today. But you will notice and recognize ways that you are going to be able to generate referrals in every interaction where there are more than two people. Where are some of those things outside of chamber events and networking groups?
Community.
Social events, absolutely. Where else? Sports events. Literally anywhere there that you go that there's people. When you go out to eat, when you go to the grocery store, when you're meeting with friends, you will actually start picking up, using these methods, hundreds of different opportunities to generate referrals in your everyday life. So, when it comes to networking events, everyone here raised their hand when they said they wanted to generate more referrals this morning, right? Who here came because they wanted to buy something? Much fewer hands. As a matter of fact, I can count that even though I went to public school. Nobody actually came to buy something. So that's the number one most often limiting mistake that people make. They go into a networking event and they try and sell the room. What you want to do instead is educate the room for how they can send people to you, and that's what we're going to cover today. So starting with the first and easiest way to generate a referral. Listen for somebody who's complaining about something. I see some heads nodding already. Now, just think about for just a second, how does that sound and what are the differences in intensity? So, let's think of an everyday complaint. A leaky faucet or dripping tub, well, that's very, very different than outdated fixtures in the bathroom or in the kitchen, right? And that's extremely different from a burst water pipe. All three complaints need a plumber, but in varying degrees of intensity and those conversations. So who here has complained about something maybe just this morning? Any complaint at all? Go ahead. What would you complain about?
I couldn't get in the system and update my stuff.
Okay, so IT, passwords are such a pain.
Yes.
Who could we listen for as far as helping with passwords? IT people. Anyone heard of, is it PassVault or PassLock? So if you know somebody that does those things. So those are some easy ones. Who else raised their hand about something they complained about?
The line at Dunkin' Donuts this morning,
100%. And Duncan actually helps, not very well, but with the mobile app. So have you downloaded that app? Again, the ways to, traffic is another one. I wish I knew somebody we could refer to clear up that problem, because 501 would be, so those are some easy ways. Now, what do your customers complain about? What can everyone in the room listen for about a complaint that your customer would have?
Rates.
Ooh, there you go.
Rates.
Bank rates, so interest and returns on both sides. What would that conversation sound? Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So rates, absolutely. So when we hear somebody that's complaining about either low rates on deposit return or high rates on borrowing, easy things to do. All right, so sometimes, let's get into number 2. Sometimes knowing what not to do is absolutely every bit as important as what to do. When we talk about someone or anyone or everyone, does that give us a clear picture of who? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I'd love to invite everyone to lunch for me on me. I know this place, it's got some protein. It's got a pretty good selection of carbohydrate too. Who's coming? Because I just said anyone, everyone, someone who. Be very, very specific. And then think about a small business. What does the Small Business Administration define as a small business?
100 people or less.
150 people or less. And what is the volume? It's $41.5 million in annual revenue and 150 people. Is that what you think when you hear the term small business? Probably not. So, but what about full service? Oh, and I also. Those are things, terms that we use because we think we're adding value, but we're really just confusing the issue. When you are super, super specific, and again, Dr. Ivan Meisner, who's the kind of godfather of networking and the founder of BNI, says it best. Specific is terrific. So do we want anyone who needs a place to stay? Or do we want the retiring couple who's looking to downsize from a 3-story beachfront to a 1-story ranch? Anyone who needs a home or a specific target? Even better, the name and location of a person. Because if I need John Doe, the CFO for ABC Company, and I ask for that introduction, and you don't know John Doe at ABC Company, but you know a CFO, Sally Johns at XYZ Company, would that be a good referral too? Absolutely, because it made you think of somebody in that same role. So the more specific, even better. And understanding and recognizing a good referral, a great referral, and the ideal referral. So let's get into number 3. And this is a fun one. Again, we're going to use our ears again. Bragging. What do people brag about? Good service. Oh, that's great. Anyone here hiring? If they, almost everybody in Myrtle Beach seems to have a help wanted or now hiring sign. Somebody starts bragging about good service, my ears are going to perk up because I'm going to want to go there and see what the magic sauce is. What else do we brag about? Success, things that we do well. We're getting a promotion because we did something really well. What else? Was talking to Caroline this morning about my son. Just graduated from Carolina Forest, getting ready to go to school. We talk about events in our life and we brag about our family members. Anyone bought a new car? Do you share that news? All these things that we talk about. Big purchases, moving, got a new house, got new jewelry, our anniversary. All those things are bragging, right? So how can we listen for those events and equate them to a referral? So Again, I'll use my example. My son just graduated high school. Who can think of something that could be referred to for somebody who's got a graduating student? First and foremost, absolute most important thing ever on the planet, speaking from a parent. So, if you didn't hear me, he said a job. So I would love referrals for jobs. Looking for a graduation gift, looking for employment opportunities. Scholarships. Ooh, there you go. Thank you. And I'll need to talk later if you know some. Absolutely. Apartments. Fantastic. So, what else? Anniversaries, jewelry store, car lots, depending upon your spouse. So these conversations, and again, you can see they happen everywhere. We are in a business setting, but I was still bragging about my son this morning. Now, next is actually maybe a 2-for-1. So be really, really intentional about scheduling introductions. Is there somebody that works in your same industry but offers a different product or solution? Who can think of some examples of a similar client base with a different product?
Coke versus Pepsi.
That's competition. That's sugar water and sugar water.
Okay, somebody moving, they might need a mortgage lender, they also need a real estate agent.
There you go. Absolutely. So a homeowner is going to need a lot of different people all in that same transaction. Perfect idea. Who else can think of some tangential?
Financial advisors and accountants.
100%. And they're probably going to need estate planners, attorneys, so anyone that deals with financial transactions. There you go, especially on the commercial side. Any other examples?
Will preparation would probably be under attorneys.
What's that?
Will preparation.
There you go. So, will prep, 100%. What else are you going to need when you're talking about end-of-life care? There you go. The hospice was enough. Didn't even think of that, but I was thinking of the final expense plans. Yeah, and actually, we if anyone's figured out how to not die, or how to get out of here alive, let us all know the secret. But yeah, absolutely, it's kind of morbid to think about sometimes, but entirely other easy ways to think about it. Health center, and somebody else had spa and salon services. So, think of a massage therapist with a physical therapist, with a chiropractor, all having very similar interests. And that's how I built my last business. It was making connections with physical therapists and chiropractors, because we did massage, yoga, and acupuncture. And that was just the one thing that I did, was build relationships. So scheduling those introductions and being really, really targeted. Then when you actually have known and trusted associates, actually sitting down and introducing your best clients to those other services. Think CPA and bookkeeper. CPA, business CPA may only do the tax strategy and the year-end or quarterly audits, but the month-to-month might be that bookkeeper. Those introductions for yourself to a tangential businessman. I'm an orthodontist. I want to know dentists. So schedule those introductions for me personally. But then, that was kind of a bad idea, because scheduling your best clients as an orthodontist, everybody's got teeth. But so. A third referral partner there is the denture makers, or the implant people. So, but scheduling personal introductions, absolutely, to those tangential. And there's actually a strategy for that too. Instead of saying, "Hey, I am A, and here's my business cards. Can you give me your clients?" That's one way for people to say, "Great to meet you. I will love to give all of your business cards to all of my clients that are living in the bottom of this circular file cabinet right here." Now, instead, you can actually break down that barrier. Anyone know what the glass window at the front of any healthcare facility is actually for? And the person that sits behind it. Going off on a tangent, but I've got a couple extra minutes. So. He is the first person that has ever got that question on the first answer. I asked that question, and most people say, well, it's to check customer or patients in. It's to check people in. It's to schedule appointments. And he is the first person that has said that they are the gatekeeper. They make sure nobody talks to the doctor who is not supposed to talk to the doctor. So if you want to get beyond that glass window, what do? Well, schedule an appointment, but actually schedule an appointment. Go ahead.
I actually do that for work. I just show up to hospitals every single day, and I just am persistent. I keep introducing myself, showing a similar face, and to be honest, sometimes it's the gatekeeper and they look the other way. I'm like, well, that's why you need to go up to the floor then. So you just got to be persistent.
So I'll tell you, and you're free to use this. Actually make that person's job easier. If you want the intent to get beyond the window, show up for making that window keeper job easier. Again, going back to my health and wellness center, I did just the same thing. Got doors slammed in my face, never got beyond where. And I actually figured out, oh, she actually has issues. And I actually need to know what her process is. So I would then say, go in, schedule that introduction. I know you're busy right now, but would love to schedule a time, and again, back to scheduled introductions, when I could come in and just ask you 4 or 5 questions, would only take a few minutes. Generally, when you set that expectation, that it's only going to take a couple minutes, they're like, oh, well, I actually have a couple minutes right now. And if you're prepared, you then get to say, how is the best way for patients to schedule an appointment with you? Do they call? Is there an online? What's the best way? What saves you? And then they'll be happy to tell you, oh, I hate when people email me because we're not allowed to schedule appointments through emails, and so phone call, whatever the answer is. Then its next part is, are you cash only? Do you take insurance? You're trying to get information about how to make their job easier. And if you've done your homework and you've done your prep and you know what you want, the final question is, do you do XYZ procedure? Do you specialize in 1, 2, 3 situations? Or do you use the ABC brand of whatever? That question, if they know the answer, you're golden because you got the information that you wanted anyway. But a strategically planned question is going to be the one that they don't necessarily know the answer to. Then what do? They introduce you to the person that you wanted to talk to originally because you just made their life easier, and it was all about them, not about me. There you go. So you're free to use that. It works wonders. But so scheduling those introductions with yourself, and then specifically the second part is scheduling those introductions with your best client to a best referral partner. And here's the tricky thing and the interesting thing. When you know more about somebody else's business that's going to help your client, you actually gain value. You are more important and more valuable as an asset to your existing clients because you know who else can help them. So that's how powerful scheduling and being intentional about those introductions are. Plus, here's the other fun part. Mike and I are in a book club and we've read similar books. What's the law of reciprocity?
Given it shall be given back to you.
When you do something nice for somebody else, it's not altruism, it's actually survival. You know they will want to return the favor. So that's how scheduling these introductions. Number 5, planning. Again, we're using our ears again. But what are things that people plan? Vacation's an easy one to think of because but anything that's put on our calendar, if you were to open your calendar right now, what do you have planned? Surgeries, time off of work for reasons that we're not looking forward to as much as reasons we are looking forward to. Anniversaries, birthdays, scheduled maintenance. All of these things are plans. How can we listen for those things and teach people how to listen for us for those items in our business? You do spa and salon services. What specifically do you?
I do nails.
Nails. So one of those things that every woman wants to look fantastic for all kinds of events. So if we hear that there is the nonprofit gala down at Ground Zero, if we hear that the country music festival is coming to town and they're going, if there any of these things that people are going to plan for and that it's going to be a public event, there's an easy opening. What else do people plan for? Retirement. That is a huge one. And again, the earlier that we can think of that, and then again, this is another great segue back into the conversation about my son graduating and starting the new job, is, most people wait until they're in their 40s to start planning for retirement. The best investment you'll ever make is the first $100. If you do that as a high school graduation gift instead of something that they'll blow on parties, that $100 over 40 years would be equivalent to, what is it, $112,000 or something like that. If you invest $100 at 18, I can't remember but it's something like that. There's a number out there. So,
even better yet, when they're born.
So if we're planning for retirement or planning for those grandkids, do you know it would be an amazing gift for your grandkids? So, yeah. Power of compound interest is important. So, what else? Anything else that people plan for?
Death.
Most people don't, but we should, absolutely. And again, don't want to get off on another tangent because I will run out of time, but creating resources. Anytime if you're dealing with end-of-life scenarios and you hear the same 3 questions from 3 different people, create a resource for that because it's obviously something that people need and will put your first conversation so much further down the road than anyone else that's dealing with the same issue. So you can get much further ahead. Now, we spent our first 5 things talking about who we can listen for to be introduced to, right? So now we know what to listen for, what people are complaining about, what not to say when we're in networking situations, what people are bragging about and how to identify those, who we want to partner with and who we want to introduce each other to, and then what people are planning for. Now we've got a really, really good idea of who can come to and who we can refer to, right? Now the problem is most people don't know how to do those introductions, which brings us to number 6. Create easy introduction methods. Having the list of questions that you can further qualify that need. Have those easy starter questions. Who here has been in a room full of people and heard somebody say, I just started my business? Man, wouldn't it be great if we could share that story or help that new person avoid all the pitfalls that we made when we started our business? Alex, how many business owners have you met that are 3, 4, 5 years into business and they're still operating out of their personal checking account?
It's awful, and would it you'd be surprised how many people not only do that, but don't have a business plan, don't have an idea of where they're even going. They're just kind of doing activities and spinning their wheels and getting frustrated and wondering why they're not succeeding.
And
because they haven't taken care of the basics yet.
exactly. So, I wish my first year in business I would have had my business account set up. Have you gotten a relationship with a business banker? Alex makes everything so easy and really didn't make me feel stupid even though I waited 10 years to set up my account. Now, what's the likelihood that that same person operating their brand new business out of their personal checking account is doing their taxes with TurboTax or H&R Block Online, and are they getting the benefits of a business tax professional? I couldn't believe how much I saved the first year I hired an actual CPA. Have you met with a CPA yet? So, and again, I don't know, I'm focused on businesses and money, but maybe because we're all business owners. But making it easy for people to ask qualifying questions so that they can introduce you is a huge, huge opportunity because the easier it is for them to introduce you, what do you get more of? Referrals, and more specifically, quality referrals that they've already, oh, this is the exact person that you need to listen to. So, referrals are everywhere. We just talked about 6 basic ways that you can start generating more of them. What's been the most exciting tip that you've heard so far? Which one are you actually going to put into effect today?
Scheduling the introduction, and I think it's your example of the Doctor's Wellness Center. I think that's incredibly helpful because I think the biggest challenge for most people, including myself, is that gatekeeper, man. It's, you know, especially if you have a really good one. It's like in hockey. I mean, that goaltender, that goalkeeper, you ain't getting anything by it. They're good.
Right. And now she got slippery. She said, I'll wait for them to go to the bathroom. But yeah, so absolutely huge. Who else? Anyone else heard something that struck a chord and they're going to start using that or start working on it? 'Cause all the information in the world is great.
The overlapping businesses, especially like the university, school loans, supplies, desks, like all the things that people don't think of when they're about to start school that they need.
There you go. And then you guys do all off-site housing as well, right? So maybe even property managers or short-term or medium-term rental properties. Yeah. Anyone else? Got it?
Question for you, back it up.
Yes, sir.
a minute.
Absolutely.
Conversation starters.
Mm-hmm.
It's been my experience with this, if we're focusing just on the business that we're in, the business that we're in, it's easy forgettable. You easily can be forgotten, you cannot be relatable. I think how valuable is it to have a human connection as part of the conversation, to bring something of this common interest, to be relatable in the idea of the referrals?
Absolutely. So again, human interaction and ongoing interaction. So it's great to be introduced to a homeowner's board, with roofing, if they're dealing with big things. But knowing who is actually talking to everybody in the neighborhood. Is it more important to be in front of the homeowner's board or the social chairman who's coordinating all the events, and they're the busybody in the neighborhood knowing every single person? So yeah, and then how can you increase value to that person? Is it a lunch and learn? Is it a regular piece? And really, is it, kind of go back to the example of creating that value add, that's something that's going to get you 3 steps further down the road, and putting into effect a drip campaign where you got that introduction to the group, say at a lunch and learn or at an anniversary party or something, and put everybody signed up because they didn't know that they could get, and I'm going to make stuff up, I don't know if you do this or not, but you can get aerial photography of your roof so that before hurricane season, so that you've got photo proof of before and after if a storm does hit. And for $50, we'll take pictures and keep them on file so that you can submit them to you. And then they've said, oh, that's a great idea, because the one thing that every homeowner hates is the denial of that insurance claim because of a named storm or whatever.
So
Who's ever used the term, I know a guy? That's really level 1, is tell them Joe sent you. So those are those ones that you've probably invested some time on that was either a low ticket item or didn't actually turn into some business because they weren't actually qualified. Well, number 2 is actually, oh, Mike, let me introduce you to John. I'll connect you guys, send you guys your emails or your phone numbers. That's just a connection piece, but really didn't qualify the lead. So level 3 is where we actually start closing that loop on qualifying the lead the first time. So, and that's where we know that there's an increased chance of closing more business. You've qualified the need, and you've told them or put them in touch with the person who can solve the problem. Now, number 4. Now you've set up an appointment on their behalf. Oh, you need a last will and testament. Let me introduce you to Mike with Legal Shield. He can do that for a flat fee. Anyone want to guess what the 5th level is? And the highest level of trust and most impactful way to actually close more business.
Take them to lunch.
It's actually put both people with you in the same room or in the same setting. Make a personal introduction between all 3 parties. Somebody who already trusts you on both sides, you connect those 2 people. You've already qualified the need and the opportunity. So when you go up that scale, you increase the level of trust and reduce the time for transactions. So 86%, 86 or 84% of salespeople never ask for the sale. Ask for the referral. You're actually making somebody's life easier when you ask for that referral because you are adding value to them. Remember what I said? When you learn more about other people's business, you become more valuable. When they have a trusted referral partner, you are getting value for yourself, so don't be scared to ask for that referral. Robert Kiyosaki said, the most wealthy people on the planet build networks. Everyone else is trained to look for work. Expand your network, generate more referrals, be intentional about it. So, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it, and hope everyone got something out of it.